Alright. Hello, welcome. I'm making another video on tanks, as you can see. And yeah, so both of these teams need to get to 8.5 million points in 19 days. And you get points based on where you finish at the end of the battle, depending on which team you're on. And everyone basically combines to make. Okay, so first thing I want to say is good idea to have a community-based, like, thing. That's cool and all, but I think they missed the mark with this one a little bit. Rather than locking people to one team, they should be able to do for both, since both completing this results in people getting free tanks. I feel like it would have been better to not lock teams. I also feel like it's gonna be a struggle for both teams to actually hit that 8.5 million unless, player numbers uptick significantly in the next, 19 days. Also, not gonna lie, it's nowhere near like the PC event, which I feel like is pretty solid because you do games, you can earn boxes, you do games, you can earn materials to upgrade your festive atmosphere, which each festive atmosphere level translates into more credits and XP per game. And the higher the level that you have, the more XP, the more credits you get per game. Which I feel like is a pretty solid, basis for a decent event. And then there's this, which it's okay. It's still not the best. It's getting it's a better event than what they have been doing. Like, out of the two though, I feel like Tank Bowl is more rewarding. And that's not a great thing, because Tank Bowl is really not super rewarding. Like, okay, sure, fine. Again, it's not quality of life stuff, and hey, congrats, you actually got to do something similar to what the other branches of the game are doing. That's cool. You actually got invited to do that this time. At the same time, it's kind of not really. It kind of feels a little half-assed. But then again, that seems par for the course here. Yo, yeah. I know. It sounds like all I'm doing is complaining, but reality-wise, I want them to do better. Because, I know they can do better. I know they have the potential to do better. The problem is, will they? Which I feel like is a resounding no. Also, don't mind me playing super hyper-aggressive right now. Getting stuck into a position that I'm probably going to get stuck in for the rest of the game. Yeah, well, Chisel's going for it. You know what, why not? Let's go full send. But yeah, it feels like a lot of their events and stuff are just half-assed. And I don't think I'm the only person that thinks that either. I'm just bullying a tier 8 because it's unfortunate enough that that's the only thing that's over here. Oh, that pins are knacker. That poor thing did not deserve that. Dealt with the chisel that's pinning me, isn't it? Yeah. And there's Artie looking at us now. Sweet. Thanks, Artie. Up, 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 up. Either way, though, just gotta say that, like, I want them to improve the game. Because, like, I've been playing this... I've been playing World of Tanks for, like, close to 12 years now. So, you know, I don't hate the game. If I hated the game, I would have stopped playing all iterations of it by this point. So I can easily tell you that I do not hate the game. It's... of course it's already... I just think that, like, Console's team doesn't have their priorities in great spots. Like, I think that's really just all it comes down to, is just, like, the priorities just aren't there. Whereas, like, the game has badly needed some quality of life changes. Because it specifically, like, the World War II mode, Artie 2.0 was not the quality of life changes that we needed. Because Artie having more health and firing faster, albeit they don't one-shot you anymore, but any of the tanks that don't have armor are still taking like 1,000 to 1,300 fucking damage. Anyways, they get hit. It's just not going to one-shot you anymore. That's literally the only change it does. But it made them more annoying in that they fire faster and they hit more often, so I don't think that was like a worthwhile trade-off, to be honest with you. Also, what the fuck? That Stern Tiger literally stuck. Interesting. How did it get in there? That's really funny. That's really funny. Love that. But yeah, no, like, overall, my complaints of the game always come back to quality of life. Which console just doesn't really have. And look at how many shots it takes to kill an artillery now. Look at that. It takes basically the entire mag from the Astron Rex to kill a T-92 now. That's not okay. That's really not okay. I don't know who I have to tell that to, but that's not okay. That's not an acceptable amount of health. You can literally play them like TDs now, and it's, like, at that point, I would have preferred if they just made them like the fucking Stern line. I really would have. It would have made more sense. Just give them the same, like, give them similar accuracy to that, maybe the French more, and just make them TDs. Literally, I think that's all they needed, was just to be made TDs. Just remove their overhead artillery view and just make them PD lines at this point. They'd be more effective than their PC counterparts, but I think less people would be annoyed by them. I know I would. If they had to directly see me in order to do damage, because, like, the amount of health that they gave them right now, you might as well just make them TDs. Do I think they're gonna change that back? No. I don't think the console team has any intention on reverting the artillery changes. Which is unfortunate, because they don't need that much health if they're gonna have that overhead view. With their rate of fire, like, if this Conquer gun carrier wanted to right now, it could just stop, turn around. Well, it could have. Just stop, turn around, and probably kill the Saturn Rex. It's like they take so much damage now, which is kind of absurd. They didn't need that. This is me having, like, had them around for like a week. I do find them more annoying. Do I find the games better overall? Yeah, because I'm not getting one-shotted, which was like a major complaint. But at the same time, it's like, I don't like that they fire that fast, that they hit basically every time. It's like, yeah, you can see that you're spotted, but there's just like, there's not really enough places on the map, on most of these maps, to get decent cover constantly. So if you pop out first, you're spotted first, you're gonna get targeted first, more often than not. It's like, okay? Why would I want to move? Why would I want to be active if I'm just going to get, like, hard-focused? You know, that's the common misconception in this game, is that, oh, artillery prevents campers. No, it doesn't. Artillery is why they're a camper. Like, artillery and the big 1,000 damage TDs are the reason why people camp. If you want to see the game get more, like, aggressive and more fast-paced, if you want, like, people to get stuck into battle faster, you need to remove things that are going to... You need to either, like, tone down or remove things that are going to remove people from the game faster. It's the harsh reality of it. Because, like, in comparison, when you look to the PC version, there are things that can delete tanks really quickly, but they've increased the health, and they've added equipment and reinforcements that give tanks more health, which allows them to play more aggressively and use their hit points as a resource instead of just being like, okay, I need to conserve this to the end of the battle. Like, you still need to conserve it, and you still need to play smart. Which, like, this is one thing that I'll say as well. PC, if you fuck up, you know real quick, because you will pay for it really quickly. You do get punished. But you get punished for playing your tank wrong. Not punished for playing your tank right. Console, that's the difference that I feel there is between PC and console. Console, it feels like you play your tank right, you get punished. Whereas PC, you play your tank right, you get rewarded. That is the kind of point that I have been trying to make for like a while. Is that it feels like there are so many things on console that kind of reward you for playing tanks the way they're not supposed to be played. Although, that's another thing, like, I don't want to say that there is a specific way to play every tank every single time, because you do have to adapt. Depending on the map, how your team plays and everything like that, you do have to adapt. So there's not, like, a set thing, but there is a set kind of play style for each tank. Things that they excel at, and things that they're really bad at. Like this, and for instance, the Cobra. It's not a great tank. It's funny. And it's got hilariously good heat pen. but it's not a great tank. You can't go out, lead the charge, be like up stuck in front of people in the middle of the action. You can't do that because you're just gonna get torn apart. You can fire your 4 shots, and then once you're reloading, you're kind of screwed. But like, there is a way to play it. You play it as like a secondary kind of support tank. Because like, you want to pop up when your team has moved forward and just basically light up targets that they have spotted. And I'm firing heat. The other thing that I need to get down is like the shell velocity on this tank. Because like, I haven't had it for super long. I'm still like trying to get used to this. Cause like, it's not a bad tank by any means of that word. But it's also not like super accurate. Not really good with dealing with multiple tanks. It's kind of like a, okay, we've caught this tank out, now we can like push out from around this corner and like delete them. Basically, the way that I've equated it to is you kind of want to play the Cobra in a similar fashion to the way that you would play the Lorraine. It's a support medium. You pop in behind your team and take very opportunistic shots. See, like this waffle could easily rip my soul in half. As it did to the fucking E5 right there. You see, when something gets distracted and it gives you their weak side, you pop up and you do damage. And then you roll away and you reload. You basically, you have a little bit of armor. You can kind of play with a little bit, but chances are in a tier 10 game like this, you're not going to be able to make use of the armor that you have, if that makes sense. Because things are either going to be spamming premium at you, or just have ridiculously high pen like that. So it's just gonna, like, rip you apart. And we're just gonna cap out. You know, I'll take it, I guess. That's not a great game. But, you know, it's winning 2 battles, sure. I kind of want to play the Cobra again, just to talk a little bit more about this. Because, like, at one point, I did kind of help people get into the game and, like, get acclimated to how the game works. Let's roll that one again. And it does, like, it takes a bit of learning to find the little nuances in this game. It's not something you can really just, like, pick up and know every little in and out. Because there's so many different factors, specifically like in the World War II mode, where you have the camo, view range, you have radio range, you have penetration, you have damage. Every single one of these, by the way, can be altered by your stats plus your opponent's stats. It's a big numbers game. There is a lot of stuff that goes on under the hood of this game. And some of the changes that have been made on console have kind of fucked with those numbers in a not so great way. So they're much less consistent, and it shows. Penetration, for example, I don't know if anyone else has had this happen to them, but if you've been playing a pretty large caliber gun tank, such as a you know, a Jagdpanzer 100 or a Death Star or a Shit Barn. You've been playing those and you've bounced off of a light tank with AP. According to the way that penetration is supposed to work in this game, if the caliber of the gun is is over 3 times the thickness of the armor, it is an overmatch and should be a guaranteed pin. Case in point, should be. Things such as spaced armor and tracks do cut into that a bit, but there is no light tank in the game that has enough armor that should be able to bounce a fucking 183mm fucking shell. You can feel free to correct me if I'm wrong there, but there is nothing in this game that should be bouncing a 183mm shell. At least not a light tank. God, I'm so terrible with aim on this thing. There we go. I got one. Oh, that the AMX just got absolutely reamed. I'm sure that's fine. Well, then those already changes, right? Go back to that. But yes. I don't think there's a single light tank in this game that has the armor that is capable of bouncing or preventing an overmatch for a 183mm gun. The aim time is just so bad on this. But yeah, this is basically what you're supposed to be doing in the Cobra. At least not from this distance, but this is basically what your job is. Your job is to get stuck into a decent support position where you can fire on anything that your team lights up, and you just go. You use your really good heat penetration to deal with most targets, and then if you see something that's soft, you have like maybe 1 or 2 clips of hash, and you just go with there. Damn. See, I don't really have the spare rounds here to throw, because I'm gonna run out of ammo. All of these are going, like, to the right, horribly. Get a little bit closer, but I don't want to get spotted. This is the problem. But yeah, like, this was one of the things that I had to teach people early on in the game when I was helping with, like, developmental play for a competitive clan. Is that not every tank in a class fits that class's standard playstyle. Like, case in point, not every heavy tank is going to play like a brawler. Just because it has heavy listed on it does not mean that it has the armor or the gun capable of doing brawling. And that is something that trips up a lot of people when they start playing this game, because, like, okay, they give these general use tips. Like, you're a heavy tank, you are the frontline assault vehicle, when in reality, you're not going to realistically take a tiger and throw it in front of everything, because it is a big square box. It has a very accurate gun for a reason. the Tiger, in and of itself, was not a brawling tank. The instances in which cases you would see a Tiger being used would be, you know, camoed up somewhere, waiting for someone to drive in front of it, so that they can just, you know, put that extremely good 88 to use. And that's basically how you play it in the game. Like, you find a good position, you play it more so as a support role, and you just use your superior firepower to blast through anything in your way. There we go. And just like that, we are out of heat. Which may be a problem. But yeah, like, that is one of the things that I don't think they do a very good job of teaching in the game, is like, hey, they just give you the general, this is what this class of tank is, this is what this class of tank is, not, yeah, here are the nuances. Which I feel like the nuances are what helps people a lot more than anything else in the game. Okay. There we go. I love this tank, by the way. That is something that I always come down to, is like, I adore really obscure tanks, and tanks that are kind of like niche, because I feel like they're a lot more fun to play, which is also why I adore Tier 8 so much. Even though Tier 8 gets absolutely fucked on console because matchmaking, which is another thing that I have an issue with, but that's for another time. Love that. Christ, that M46 had like 8K assisted. Nice. But yeah, this is like after over a decade of playing the game. This is stuff that I picked up over time. That stuff that was passed down to me from someone else that had been playing and kind of learn these things. The console is definitely not in a great place, consistency-wise, and it is why I continue echoing work on quality of life, because it really does need it. Like, there is a solid game in here. There's a solid game in here. It's just a matter of, you know, cleaning up the stuff that they fucked with in 6.0. The other thing that I have an issue with again is the UI, because I do not like the UI super much. I liked the older UI where it was more minimalistic. Because the good thing about a minimalistic UI is there's less things to go wrong. And I think that works out a little bit better. That might just be me, though. But I digress. A few other things that I want to talk about before I wrap this video up. So yes, buckle in, this is going to be a long one. Another thing that I have an issue with is that right up there, the contract. I like the idea of the contracts. I think they're a good, like, stopgap in between the campaigns that PC has, where it's like you have to do certain missions every game in certain classes. You basically get stuff to do with every single class, and once you complete all of them, you get a free premium tank. Awesome. Great. Those, however, have something that I feel like are superior to the contract system. And that is, of course, that comparatively, what the contract system doesn't let you do, that the campaign system lets you do, is with a campaign, you don't have a time limit. Campaigns are there forever until they decide to remove them. Contracts are only for a limited number of days, which means you have to marathon your way to certain tanks if you want them. I don't like that. I don't think that's a good idea. I fully support removing the time gate because, like, I've said this when I talk about, like, Destiny stuff as well. I'm not a fan of time gates. Like, okay, you can't do this for a certain amount of time, or you have this much time to complete this, and it's gone. I do not like that model. Because I feel like far too often that it leads to FOMO. Which, in a sort of condensed form, the fear of missing out, and or FOMO, is something that is getting really bad in live service games. And, you know, free-to-play games, to an extent as well. Which this is. I don't think there needs to be more fear of missing out. Because you, like, for instance, work a 9-to-5 job. AKA, like, a large majority of people that play games. Like, not everyone can be a fucking content creator and have, all of their time put into games. That's just an unreasonable expectation. For player bases, and I'm gonna take a hit. Oh, never mind. Time to get the fuck out of there. I got really lucky there that I did not just lose 1,000 health from that E3. Yeah, but there's a Leopard 1 right there. And there's something else right there. That's a great map. Isn't this such a great map? Artillery's gonna shoot at me now, too. I'm dead. There's no way I'm gonna be able to bounce a shot from E50M. That range. Yep. Hate that map. That map is not great. It's the other thing that I have a complaint with on console is that maps are not super great. They're really not great because they're still, like, the big maps I feel like are more suited to Cold War. And the small maps I feel like are not suited for anything over a certain tier. Like, the fact that they brought Hidden Village back baffled me so much because it's such a bad map. Hidden Village is a terrible map. It's a map that they deleted from PC because it was too small and the balance was not there, so they just deleted it. Like, I feel like a lot of the maps that are on console right now are just not right. Some of the changes that they've made to the maps don't really fit. Like, Dragon Ridge, for instance, is a map that I would not be sad if it got lost in an update, where they updated it and spontaneously somehow lost the data for that map and were unable to bring it back. I would be totally fine if they could not bring Dragon Ridge back. That is a map I would be totally okay with them just completely deleting as well. Airfield coming back, though. Airfield is a good map. Sunset Coast is not a good map. Airfield, though, is a good map. That's a really good map. I'm excited for that one to come back. Because it's just good. And you want to know why Airfield is a good map? Airfield is a good map because it's symmetrical. It has cover. It has places you can play basically every tank. It's a good map. Vineyards wishes it could be as good of a map as Airfield. Vineyards is a map that I also have an issue with, but it's for different reasons. Because it's got the age-old problem that a lot of maps have, in that it has positions on it where people just sit, and they don't do anything. It does not promote active play. Unless you know for a fact that your team is going to blast the shit out of anything that you light up. Which I have a problem with. Because it's been a problem, very much so, since this map joined the game initially. Erlenberg, a map that most people on all platforms basically hate. Though I don't think it's on Blitz, because Blitz has its own maps that are really small because it's, 7v7. This map is not great. It's not a great map. It's basically, yes, let's sit on this hill and proceed to not do anything for the rest of the game. The map. All the fighting basically takes place in one of two spots on this entire map. And then nothing else happens. So, basically, the only thing preventing us from moving forward now is that FV. And once that FV dies, everything in front of us is probably dead as well. Like, for instance, that fucking T-30 is a goner the minute that... The Waffle has no armor, so it's absolutely fucked, but... Chieftain right now is the only thing that's preventing me from just obliterating this T-30 with no consequence. Oh, thanks, Artie. Love that. Yeah, literally the only thing that's punishing me for doing that was the Artie and that Chieftain. And the minute that they moved, there's nothing punishing me. That's what this map is. It's just a series of going back and forth on this side and the fucking castle. Anything else just gets torn apart. And then there's tier 8s in this game too, which... Tier 8s in this game. Tier 8s against tier 10s, what are they gonna do? Other than feed tier 10s. It's a T-57 heavy in the middle of the fucking map. Bum 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 bum, bum 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 bum. Just play this game out. But yeah, basically that sums up a lot of the complaints that I have with the game. It's mostly just down to the consistency of the game mechanics. The fact that I'm still lit up kind of upsets me. Tier 8 in a Tier 10 game, am I right? And get destroyed, T-57. Just basically wait for the spotting to drop, and that's probably gonna be game. Because I don't think they have a whole lot back there that's gonna do a whole lot. There's two SU-130s, which they actually do have a decent gun, but... realistically speaking, I don't think they have a whole lot that can contest the rest of this team. So I'm on, like, not a whole lot of health, so I'm playing a dangerous game. Get a cheeky little shot in there on that E50. To whittle it down. I have to make sure that I don't get pinned by that TVP. Or the E50. Damn. Unlucky. Unlucky that the E50 actually left this TD out to dry. I think my team just, like, left our T-34 out to dry, too. Hello. But yeah, like, a lot of the issues that I have with the game primarily are just quality of life and consistency issues. I think we might actually lose this, which would be unfortunate. Oh, never mind, their iron range just drowned itself. Other than that, the only other complaints that I would say about console in particular is their hyper-aggressive, like, monetization. Because, dear God, do they try to milk every cent out of this game they can get. With offering very little in terms of actually, like, bringing in more players to make the game a better experience for all. Because, like, that's primarily the issue, is they have a already limited player base, which is split technically 4 ways. Depending on how many people actually play the PvE in both World War II and Cold War. That doesn't help that it's split 4 ways. The other thing that doesn't help is when you say, oh yeah, we would like to bring in new players, and then proceed to make the game less inviting to new players. Because I don't know if any of you have tried to get people to play the game, but it's not super new player friendly, and it's kind of niche to begin with. Like, it's an arcadey tank shooting game. And console has, like, no promotion aside from the CC program. So, yeah. Like, if you want more people to play the game, you should, I don't know, maybe promote the game. Like, at the very least, you could, you know, get like a bigger content creator to play it, try it out, tell you what they think. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, most people that play this game are going to play it like once, and then they're not going to touch it again. Because, like, if you get rid of the linear vehicle progression system, which is something I've had a problem with for a long time, more people will feel comfortable playing it because it's not as super grindy of an investment. And I think that's one of the main issues that people have. Because the commander system on console, aside from the very, very limiting perk amount, only being allowed to have 9 is kind of annoying. Kind of really fucking annoying. Other than that, it's a lot easier to get into than PCs, because PC you have each individual crew member. But aside from that, the amount of time investment you have to put into tanks just to get upgrades to make them feel competitive at their tier, it's not gonna keep people. Because I don't know about you, but a lot of people aren't inclined to throw money at a game to solve a problem like that. Like, they're more willing to throw money at the game for cosmetics and, like, stuff to make their overall life easier in the game. But when either every other tank or every single tank in a line is a painful grind to get to a fully upgraded tank, people aren't going to stick with it. They might play it every once in a while, but they're not going to put money and time into it if they have nothing to invest in. And some of the tank grinds in this game, if I had not known what I was doing in the game, I would have not continued them at all to get to better tanks. Because they are literally so fucking painful. Especially with the matchmaker, because certain tier 8 tanks are really fucking shit. And tier 8 in and of itself is really shit when it gets constantly put into tier 10 games. Stuff that can 1 to 2 shot you with ease. That's not fun. It's not going to make someone continue playing the game. Like, tier 5 and 6, that's understandable when something one-shots you. Because those games are fast, and you still make decent XP. So you're progressing them quick. You know, you're progressing through those quickly. And even if you have a bad game, it's not going to set you back super hard. Because they're not as hard of an investment. Jumping up to tier 8 and up, things get really bogged down with the linear vehicle progression system. Because different modules cost so much XP, and then you have stuff like the fucking 432 up here at tier 9, where you have to research 3 fucking tier 10s off of it. If I'm a new player, and I see that I have to grind out 541,000 XP on this fucking tank to get the tank that I want, I'm not going to invest my time in this hardcore. I'm gonna play it once in a while, until I get tired, and I'm gonna go invest my time into something that's not going to basically destroy my brain and will to live. Trying to get, like, look at this. These are acceptable. 12,000 for this, 24,000 for that. That's fine. Those are acceptable numbers. 87,000 jumping to a gun that's actually capable of penetrating tier 10s. That's not acceptable. That's not okay. And that needs to be toned down. Like, seriously. That being said, I think I should probably wrap this up. This video is almost an hour long. I have been rambling about all of the things that I have complaints about with this game. I should, conversely, make another video on things that I enjoy about the game. That will be another time, though. Probably next week. So, anyways, thank you for listening to me ramble. I hope it made sense. Please let me know if you have anything, like, to add, or, you know, to converse about in the comments. And let me know if you would want to see me do some tank reviews and stuff, because I'm definitely down to do more of those. Anyways, thank you all for listening. I'll see you in the next one.